Mexico. 17 years old. Canada. 16 years old. North Korea. 15 years old. Italy. 14 years old. Japan. 13 years old. Philippines. 12 years old.
Grenada, 16 years old. Alright, Trinidad, about 18 years old. First and foremost, I'd like to begin by giving all praise, all honor, all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, our teachers that surely do rule well. And peace, love, salutations to you men, brethren, the elect, beginning with the 144,000 chosen men, the prophets of the Lord. Also unto you extra men, women, and children, whom the Lord will have mercy on in these last days. Shalom be unto you. Hey, Brother Kalab, back at you with another lesson, Lord willing. This is edifying. Alright, through the Spirit, lesson done by the beloved brother Nehemiah, right, concerning the age of consent in certain countries. And in that lesson, a beautiful lesson, you brothers, sisters out there as well should subscribe, watch the lesson, the lessons that the brother does, and be edified. Right, in this one particular, he went into even the age of consent biblically, right? And as I said, through the Spirit, because I was even intending to do a lesson on the said subject, having began some reading of a book I have here, which I'll also show in this lesson, right? By the name of A Handbook of Life in Bible Time, a delightful and colorful resource by J.A. Thompson, right? And within this book here, on page 79, entitled Family, Customs, and Rules, right, like I said, from Handbook of Life in Bible Times, a delight and colorful resource by J.A. Thompson, right, which J.A. Thompson is an Australian archaeologist, right? He studied at the Cambridge University, right, which Cambridge University is ranked in the top 5 universities of the world, right? Even for us, who read the Apocrypha, brothers and sisters, that read the Apocrypha. Fun fact is, Cambridge University is known for publishing a lot of the versions of the Apocrypha that we use today, right? And that will be even mentioned by Apostle Taha from time to time, right? So he was very learned, he was studied, he did a lot of research, and he wrote this handbook concerning life in Bible times, right? As you see here, he even portrayed a seal that had the Paleo-Hebrew on it. And as I was telling Jake some time back at camp, right, that there are books that you could find the Paleo-Hebrew characters in, right? And I noticed this word in particular here as well, Malak, because all the other characters were a bit blurred, distorted, but this one was very clear, Malak, right? Malaka, which is king, right? So there's a seal ultimately of a king, right? And when you go here to pages 83, heading Growing Up, right? So there's the life of Israelites when they would grow up, right? While growing up, I'm going to read from surprisingly. It says, surprisingly, perhaps in view of the late weaning and close family ties, Israelite boys were initiated into religious and legal maturity when they were only 13. Most men would also be married by their late teens. Women even earlier. So men, the late teens, women earlier, right? So from the age of 12, 13, 14, 15. Right, but when we go across here to pages 85 concerning the subject of marriage, right, it also mentions, let me read from where should I begin? I'll start from here. That may not have been quite a barbaric as it seems. Right? I'll start here. So that may not have been quietly as barbaric as it seems. If indeed most marriages were between teenagers, matchmaking parents might have a shrewder idea of compatibility than experienced adolescents. From the book of Kings, it seems that Jehoiakim was married at 16 and Ammon and Josiah at 14, although ordinary people may have waited a few years more in order to learn a trade and save up the marriage price paid to the bride's family, right? They had a bride price or a dowry to pay, right? That's why even so, it was of a much later age that men or young men would marry, right? Because yeah, at the age of 12 or right, and you're heading into your teens, you become a man, but you had to have your dowry, right? And if your father wasn't wealthy, right, you didn't come from a wealthy home or so, you had to work to gain that bride price, right? Like our forefather Jacob did. He worked 7 years, right, for Rachel and 7 more years, well, for Leah, right, because he got Leah, the Laban tricked him, right, but he worked for his both wives a number of years, and then he got them, right? So likewise, men used to do back then. They would make sure and gain their bride price, and then they'll seek marriage, right? But reading on, it says, by the New Testament times, rabbis had fixed the minimum age for marriage at 12 for girls and 13 for boys, right? 12 and 13, right? So there you have it. The age of consent in biblical time or in the Bible is 12 and 13, just supporting the information that the brother brought out, right? But as the scripture confirms, read here in the book of Isaiah chapter 29 and I'll start at verses 20. It says, "For the terrible one is brought to naught," and that's what's about to happen. Esau, Edom, and his Western hemisphere, Western philosophies is about to be brought to naught, right? And that was going to benefit a lot of you people, because a lot of you people have become emotional, has become bitter, right, against the traditions and customs of the Oriental, which is Eastern lifestyle, which is supported biblically because of this Western hemisphere, this Western philosophy that you've learned on this side, right? So this place is in need of a change of rulership, which ultimately goes along with the bringing down of Esau Edom, who is the terrible one. All right, he did a terrible job at ruling the earth, a terrible job at enforcing the laws and traditions and customs of the scriptures. Right? It says, "For the terrible one is brought to naught," right, and he was terrible against us as well. Right? A lot of their laws and legislations put in places is to basically keep us as a people down, from populating even so as well, right? The age restrictions or age of consent being high, right? Them hiring the age of consent is a part of them basically pushing forward population control, right? Which they even test. You hear Edomites coming out and testifying about that, right? Confirming that they are about population control. You look up a man by the name of Henry Kissinger. His quotes, a lot of his quotes is about depopulation, maintaining and reducing humanity, right? And we are the fastest multiplying people on the earth. So their agenda is ultimately against us, right? They want to control our population, how fast we breed. Like they tried against us. When you read in Exodus, the Egyptians did that against us, because the more they afflict us, the more we multiplied, right? So they want to control our population, when by even one of the methods is by raising the age of consent, right? But Isaiah 29 and verses 21, verse 20 continuing, sorry, it says, "The terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed," right, by that fire that is to come. It says, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word. So when we bring out information like this, we bring out truths like this, right? We tap back into the Oriental traditions that is supported biblically. They make us offenders, right? With the word offender, there goes back to the Hebrew word kata, right? Which goes into sin. They call us sinners because we claim the fact, right? We bring out the fact that the age of consent by the Most High is 12 and up, right? When a woman begins to see her period. The brother went into it, a beautiful lesson. As I said, you could watch it for more information. I'm not going to get too deep into it, right? But it says that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Right? So this is what they do. They make highlighting, they make a man an offender for a word. And a lot of these other Israelite camps are guilty of that. When they should be on board with what the scripture is saying, you find that they show differently. All right, and it's all to the proving of who the men of the Lord are. As the scripture says in John 3 verse 34, he that is sent of power speaketh the words of power. Right, even pertaining to the elect, the scripture says they will follow the Lamb whithersoever he go. Which means what? They believe in the volume of the book, whatever is written there, right? Whatever is expressed in the scriptures, that's what we believe in. That's what we hold fast to, right? And now as pertaining to engaging in women or young ladies that are 12 years, 13 years, we do not promote that. What we do promote, right? What we do advise brothers, right? Sternly advise brothers, right? Beginning from the elders and apostles on down, right? Is that you follow whatever age of consent that country that you're in has set, right? Obviously, taking into great consideration the um the scriptures, the age of consent in the scriptures, because I see there are certain countries, right? Like I believe India, right? There is no age of consent, but that is going off. You can't interfere with a young lady that is not seeing her period, or that is a baby, a child, right? For lack of better terms, underaged in that sense, biblical consentable age that's going off. You understand? So you stay or you operate within the border of the law concerning that, right? Because if not, you'll be held accountable by the law of the land, and that wouldn't be a wise thing to do. That would be foolish, right? As even in today's time, our focus is not to see how much cherries we could pop. Our focus is to work out our salvation, right? And to endure in this thing unto the end. And then all these things shall be added unto us. The Matthew 6:33 mindset. Seek ye first the kingdom of power and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Right? Another thing I wanted to share here, right? Real quick. Um, as you all would know that accustomed to viewing my videos, I also use a version of the scriptures by the New English Bible, right? The New English Bible with the Apocrypha, and I use it for the purpose of the Apocrypha, which was actually published by Oxford, Cambridge, the Cambridge University, right? That's that. And when you read in Deuteronomy chapter 22, and I'll start at verses 22. It says, when a man is discovered lying with a woman, a married woman, they shall both die, the woman as well as the man who lay with her. That's adultery, right? You shall rid Israel of this wickedness, right? It's a heinous crime. It says, when a virgin, right, verse 23, is pledged in marriage, she's betrothed, engaged to a man, and another man comes upon her in the town and lies with her, you shall bring both of them out to the gate of that town and stone them to death. The girl, because although In the tongue she did not cry for help, and the man, which means she consented to it. If you didn't cry out, that means you consented to it. Right? So if a girl that is betrothed or even married, right, is caught having sexual intercourse with a man, or like you come and you meet them under the sheet, not no action ain't going on, but they're under the sheet and both of them staring into your eyes like like you had three heads and everybody just frozen, right? And approaching the house, you didn't hear her saying help or screaming or making a scene trying to get away, then she's supposed to be put to death. She's held accountable as well. She consented to it, right? Clear to see. Right? So that's what it's saying here basically. It says the girl, because although in the tongue she did not cry for help, and the man because he dishonored another man's wife. Right? You dishonored another man's wife. It says you shall rid yourselves of this wickedness. If the man comes upon such a girl in the country, if the man comes upon such a girl in the country and rapes her, takes her by force, to use the word rape, grape, right? Then the man alone shall die because he lay with her. It says, you shall do nothing to the girl. She has done nothing worthy of death. This deed is like that of a man who attacks another and murders him. For the man came upon her in the country, and though the girl cried for help, there was none to rescue her. So this is what you're dealing with. If a man rapes, it said it plainly, if he rapes such a girl, meaning a girl that is pledged in marriage, is betrothed, right? When you read verses 28, it says, when a man comes upon a virgin who is not pledged in marriage, not betrothed, not engaged, not married to anyone, and forces her to lie with him, you force her, that's what happens. That's what happens during rape. Forces her to lie with him, and they are discovered, then the man who lies with her shall give the girl's father 50 shekels, or 50 pieces, of silver, and she shall be his wife. Because he has dishonored her, he is not free to divorce her all his life long. Right? You're not gonna be able to divorce her, right? It took what belonged to a man, right? She belonged to her father, right? That was her father's possession. Children were their father's money, right? Female are situated like that. Girl children, maidens, damsels were their parents, their father's money, right? So taking her by force, you stole from him, right? So you had to pay, and because he's now not able to give her to a man that he would choose, you now have to keep her, right? That was the penalty, and this is how to deal with if rape takes place, or a man takes a woman by force, if she's engaged or married, or if she's not. These are conditions and terms here, and this is what we bring out, how the scripture says to deal with situations like that, right? And we are called world derogative stuff because we bring out such truth, right? So yeah, the age of consent, and also touching on a bit of the grape doctrine, right? And this is all truth, right? And a part of returning to truth is understanding these things. When you're reading what is that, Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter and verses 15, it says, be not ignorant in any matter, small or great. Right now is the time and knowledge to know about these things. These topics are a bit sensitive, but it's necessary for us to know. Right? I said Wisdom of Solomon 5:15. It's actually Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and verses 15. Right? So we read this as a close here. There's Isaiah chapter 10. Lord willing, this was edifying, if not informative. And verses 20. It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob." And what are we to escape from in these times? The philosophies and the mentality of this world, the religions of this world, what they have taught us, right? Because a lot of the things they taught us kept us bound, right, under a sense of ignorance, where things that we would have thought to be right was wrong, things that we thought to be wrong was actually right. Right? They had us bound in confusion in a lost state, right? But the scripture says the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped, we escape from such mindsets, right? It says, "Of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them," which is Esau, Edom, and his philosophies, right? "No more trust in him." It says, "But shall stay upon the Lord, Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in truth." In truth, right? So we are known, our stay at Great Bridgestone are known for getting into the truth of matters, despite it might be offensive to others, or others might seem to be, emotional concern. This is not for the emotional, right? This is for those that are seeking truth. So I hope this was edifying. I give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Basham Rakah Kodash, Shalom to the elect.